I'm Nick Pettit, and I've been here at GSM for a little over a year now, and I'm a senior here at Grace Christian. I was born into a Christian home. Both my parents were active in church. Things were going awesome through elementary and into middle school. But then about my 8th grade year, things kind of changed. I joined the high school team and had never really been exposed to older kids until that point. I was introduced to, obviously cussing, dipping, vaping, smoking, drinking, being with girls. It was just all thrown at me super young and all at once. And the people that I was looking up to at the time were all participating. And so I just didn't see a problem with it. I just lost all self-control about what I was doing. I didn't even care that I had lost self-control. Then I came to GSM actually the night that we talked about sex for the first time ever. And so I came and that was the first exposure I had to GSM, and I was like, this is kind of weird. I'm not really a big fan of what's going on if this is how it's going to be all the time, because it was pretty much just a whole night of them saying that I was wrong for what I was doing, because I was. And I wasn't comfortable with that conviction. But then senior year started and I got back into GSM. Went back to the same way of okay, this is cool, whatever, it's fine. But then I heard Josh speak during the Uncommon series about what a Christian truly is. My mindset towards Christianity had always been, I prayed that prayer, it's cool. I'll repent when I'm older and when I'm supposed to be wiser, and I'll realize the error of my ways, and then I'll start living for Christ then, and it'll all be cool. And it's something that Brian says all the time. The gospel will either pull you in or push you away. That's the only two things it can do, because it's such a powerful message. And that night, up to that point, it had been pushing me farther and farther away, but that night it pulled me in. And I was just sitting there in service with my head down, because I just knew that everything he was saying was meant for me. And they said, this is a time of invitation. If you need to do anything, do it now. And I had no idea who to talk to, because I could just feel it hitting home, but I just didn't know anyone here. I was new still, because I hadn't got plugged into a small group, and I hadn't introduced myself to anyone because I didn't want anyone to know me. And so the only person I knew was Bradley. And I just walked over to him and tugged on his shirt. I was like, hey, can we talk? I gotta do something. And so while worship started again, we came into the leader room, and before I even got to say anything, he told me his story. And he poured himself into me. And I just realized that he wasn't better than me. He was a sinner like me. And I just didn't really understand at first how he could be so on fire for something now if he had been like I was. He kind of talked me through what that relationship was really like. And it was through that I kind of realized that I had never actually had a relationship. I had just had a ritualistic prayer, and then that was it. And so he asked me if what I wanted to do, and I told him that I wanted to give my life to Christ. Ever since that night, there's no turning back, obviously. I haven't wanted to give it up a day since it happened. And although I still struggle with temptation sometimes, it's nothing compared to the joy that I felt in that night of that weight being lifted off my shoulders, that I don't have to be trapped in that anymore. That there is an alternative, and that it's so much greater, and that it ends in salvation and joy for me, and that I get to live out that walk with Christ. And so ever since I made that decision, I've just fully bought in, and it's been the greatest experience of my life, and it's really changed who I am and who I'm gonna be.